What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down our wide receiver dictionary part 2. So this is the second video of our wide receiver dictionary series. So what it is, we're going to be breaking down 3 specific terms that wide receivers need to know that are going to help you guys improve your overall game. So I hope this video gives you guys some value and you learn a few new things that will help you improve your football IQ and your overall performance on that field. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want a specific schedule of all the drills that you need to be doing on the field broken down to specific sets and repetitions, check out that very first link in the description for our 28-day on-field wide receiver workout schedule. So what it is we're going to give you 28 days of workouts with sets and repetitions, names of all the drills, and then we give you a 30-minute video where we break down each day of the plan. We show you the importance of each exercise, then we show you a full speed example of each one. So I hope you guys can check that out. Very first link below. Let's get started with this video. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is a stem, okay? So the stem of a route. That's the first term that I want to talk about. So what is a stem? Obviously, everybody knows the basic part of a stem, right? A stem is like, let's say, for example, he's running an out route. The stem is this part. It's not the release. It's not the break at the top. It's that part in the middle. But now when you say, hey, I want to stem a DB, or I'm going to work my stem on this DB, I'm going to run a stem out route, a stem corner route. What does that exactly mean? That's what we're going to be talking about. So stemming somebody is usually when you get off-man coverage, right? Especially out of the slot. In a lot of situations from the outside, you're going to get this off-man DB who's going to be inside shade. Maybe he's outside shade, whatever it may be. And you got to know how to attack him with the stem because there's a strategy to it, right? So now if I got to run an outside breaking route and I have an inside leverage DB, would you want to just completely forget about your stem and just run to the outside and round it off? No, what you would want to do is you would want to square him up. You'd want to attack his midline and try to threaten him to the inside because when it comes to stemming, it's all about threatening. Now, this DB or this receiver doesn't necessarily angle his stem inward towards him. He kind of angles his stem towards that outside shoulder and works this rocker step back to the inside to threaten the DB here, right? So this is something that another way you can kind of work this stem. There's multiple ways, and we're going to talk about this in a second. But when I come off and I stem this DB, number one thing is when I have an outside breaking route, I got to have my stem threaten him to the inside. And then when I have an inside breaking route against inside shade coverage, I got to have my stem threaten him to the outside. So maybe I want to attack this outside shoulder, right? So there are a lot of different things that you can do. But the main thing that remains consistent is when you work a stem, you have to know what the DB's responsibility is, right? So if he's inside shade, what's he trying to do? He's trying to protect the inside. He doesn't want you to go here. He's trying to force you to the sideline. So if we just run to the sideline, he did his job. He forced you to the sideline. Now it's just on him to make a play, right? But if we could threaten him there based off of my stem, that can really get him to hesitate. So you see how this receiver angles his stem to that outside shoulder, really trying to make this DB think that, oh, I got him. I played this thing correctly. I'm going to the outside, and now he throws, right? You see how sudden he is with his feet, really throws his hips, throws his shoulders to the inside, and ultimately you see what that does to the DB. It makes his legs lock out, and obviously he stumbles, and we get him to be a little off balance, right? That's the number one thing that we have to do. We got to make sure that we threaten this guy. We got to threaten him where he doesn't want me to go. That's the main thing when it comes to your stem off the line of scrimmage, okay? Let's watch the thing full speed one more time. This is a great rider, great example of how you guys can run that out route and how you guys can stem. So the first term that I want you guys to make sure that you understand is what a stem is, okay? So now, second term is going to be a catch technique from the DB. So if you hear a receiver coach say, hey, that DB's in catch technique, if you ever hear me say, hey, he's in catch, right? So what does catch technique actually mean? What kind of form of coverage is that? When are we going to be able to see that? So catch technique is this example right here. I think we broke down this clip a little bit yesterday, but we didn't focus too much off the line and what this DB is trying to do, and that's the focus of today. So let's watch thing full speed. So Jefferson does a great job of attacking his leverage, getting a read on this DB, then obviously making a play. So now, when we come off here, I got this catch technique DB where he's maybe like 2 to 4 yards off, and he's trying to get a read on me, and as a receiver, I have to treat it the same way. I'm trying to get a read on him. What he wants me to do is to think that, oh, okay, like for example, he's got to run an out route, right? But we're on the bottom of the numbers here. So chances are we're probably not going to be taking an outside release on an out route because we're on the bottom of the numbers. We have no space to run this thing, right? So that DB is probably has help to the inside, I would assume. So he's probably going to be playing the outside. He probably wants to force me to the outside as best as possible, or take away the outside as best as possible. So I run towards the inside, right? Now, when I face a DB who's in catch, the most important thing is kind of like a fade against zone coverage. You want to close the distance. You want to try to step on his toes because you're trying to gather information. So you see how when Jefferson comes off here, he's closing the distance. He's gathering info. How's this DB going to play me? Is he going to open up? Is he trying to force me to the outside? He trying to force me to the sideline? Okay, yes, he's trying to force me to the sideline. So maybe maybe he doesn't have safety help over the middle. We can't see the full defense, but when a DB's trying to force you to the sideline, chances are he doesn't want you to go here. But when he overcommits like this, when he really commits, he opens up his hips, and I got some space to work, just take the inside release, right? So anytime you got a DB in catch technique, we should be trying to gather info on him. Now, the tempo of the play can change, right? So if I'm coming off the line of scrimmage, and let's say this DB's here, and let's say I have a faster breaking route, like let's say I have like something like, let's say I'm the first read on a dig route, right? I can't be patient right here and like kind of skipping or doing this hesitation hop. I got to go, and I got to make that decision fast. Not all the time is it about doing the most fancy thing in the world, throwing this heavy crossover. It's sometimes about just being able to move efficiently. How can I move efficiently? How can I close the distance and be able to keep timing with my quarterback? So that's the main key. So we got to make sure anytime we see a DB in catch technique, we want to make sure I'm gathering info on him and I'm reacting off of him. So why is a DB in catch? He, like I said, he just wants us to take off, and he's going to get hands as soon as he meets us, right? So he wants us to think we could just run around him. He gets hands, and then bam, he could reroute me, screw up the timing with the quarterback, and all the above. So let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Jefferson getting a read on this DB, closing the distance, and obviously working to restack and throwing that rocker step at the top. All right, guys, if you haven't heard already, we are coming to Las Vegas for a 2-day quarterback and wide receiver clinic. So our youth clinic for quarterbacks and wide receivers is September 11th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you guys want to register for this camp, and we're also having a high school clinic September 12th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., check out that second link in the description below. If you're in the Las Vegas area or thereabouts, close to the Las Vegas area, we'd really like to have you guys out. Camp is almost sold out, or I should really call it a clinic. It's not so much a camp, only 20 spots for each one. So I hope you guys could check that out. It's that second link in that description below. Let's get back to this video. So the last term that I want to talk about here is stepping outside of a DB's frame. Now, you might hear me say that a lot, but again, not a lot of people know what that means. A lot of people take that the wrong way, and a lot of people think that I'm saying to reach on a cut. I'm saying to reach way outside of your frame, and I'm not saying reach outside of your frame. I'm saying reach outside the DB's frame, right? So again, we've talked about this before. You want to think of press releases, and this is really only for like maybe a press release move or like kind of like a situation where you're maybe a DB's like in that catch technique like we talked about, and I close the distance and I got to make a move, right? You want to think of those situations like you're driving. You got the left lane, the DB's in the middle lane, and then you got the right lane. So if I'm trying to go to the left, we've talked about this before on this channel, I want to step to the right lane. I want to try to threaten him like I'm making a lane change over here to get him to jump. If you don't sell to this lane, I'm sure some of you guys probably saw that video of CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper talking about releases, right? And how what Amari Cooper does. And he talks about like when he gets to a certain point, there's no way that DB doesn't think that you're going that direction. And what that comes from is being able to step outside his frame. So you see when this receiver, he really steps outside his frame. Nothing about this is saying that he's going inside. Everything about this is saying that he's going to a fade. He's bringing his hip with the cut's outside the DB's frame. His head and his shoulders are going in this direction. This DB has to react to it, because if he doesn't honor the fade, next time we come off this thing, I'm just going to give him a little stutter. And if he wants to give me the outside and give me that corner, I'm going to go win the race out there. So you got to make sure, again, there's like an internal clock. That's something that Amari Cooper was talking about. There's an internal clock with a DB that he has to turn his hips and go, right? Or like an internal, like it's like a guessing game almost. So if you can really sell, and what that comes from is stepping outside of his frame, actually bringing your body with the cut, that's what's going to get him to jump. Now, the other thing that a lot of guys struggle with is when they step outside the frame, they don't like, I call it like maybe like throwing your hip, or maybe another way to say it is like connecting your hip with the cut. They don't bring this. They don't bring their upper half. They'll step to the right lane, but their upper body stays in the middle lane. And guess what? The DB ain't looking at your feet. The DB is looking at your body. And that's why everybody's like, oh, you don't want to reach that far out. You're not going to be able to have any explosion. You're going to be off balance. You're going to lose speed. Yeah, if you don't bring your upper half with the cut. But you bring your upper half, it's no different than cutting inside of your frame. You got to step. You got to actually threaten him in that direction to be able to move this DB. So bring your upper half with the cut. That's what will get the DB to jump. And then obviously we could just make him pay by accelerating out. You see how much he commits to that fade. That is solely because we are threatening him in that direction. If you guys are doing all this pointless movement behind the line of scrimmage, all these choppy steps where you're not threatening a guy in any direction, you're not selling with your upper half, you will not get open off the line of scrimmage, fellas, and you will not get separation. So make sure we are stepping outside the DB's frame, actually threaten him in a vertical spot. Let's watch the thing again full speed. So the third term I want you guys to know is stepping outside of DB's frame, right? So the first one, we got stem. Then the second clip that we were talking about, Oh, and it's slipping my mind. Second clip we were talking about is catch technique, and then now we were talking about stepping outside the DB's frame. So stem, catch technique, outside the DB's frame. Let's watch the thing again full speed. Great job stepping outside that frame by Kager, and an overall great route and creates a lot of separation. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comments below. I always appreciate the feedback. Always appreciate you guys watching the clips. So definitely appreciate it. And again, fellas, our 28-day on-field wide receiver workout schedule, all the things you need to do on the field as a wide receiver to take your game to that next level. Check out that very first link in the description. And again, if you're in the Las Vegas area, check out that second link in the description below. We're having a 2-day clinic for high school and youth wide receivers and quarterbacks. Check it out below. I'll see you guys next time.